All right, so let's see if we can do this on camera. Trying to do the axle tube install on this El Camino. So just undo this screw. Boom. And so now, as an illustration, all these axles are different lengths, and all the bases different widths. So not all will just pull off and fit. So here's the front axle from one of the Dodge vans. Actually, the Dodge vans have all the same size. So this one fits fine with no modification, right? But say you don't want to use that wheel. Say you want to use, well, this one. This one, which would be like from from a number of different Matchbox. It's the chrome steelies. There's no way this is going to fit like this. So you need to cut the axle and then do the axle tube. Sometimes it's just a little bit of an adjustment, say like if we were to use these, but the process would be the same. But there's a reason. Either the wheels you have are too wide or too narrow, and you want to get them to fit and look correct. So I've already trimmed out the little nubs for the axles there, and I've even widened these holes a little, and you can do that with a knife or different tools. Just this weekend I went out to Harbor Freight and just bought this little file. And this is a plastic base, and you can use the file or you can use a drill if you're careful. And you just want to make sure that there's enough room for the axle tube, because the axles will normally fit in these grooves fine, but the axle tubes are thicker. So the aluminum tubing, which I had shown on another video I'll show in a second, you just want to cut that to the right length or width there, and then slide it in there, and then we'll glue that in there. Now, a friend of mine reminded me, because he's done this more than I have, of one extra step that I should have done, but I didn't. And the way to... So basically what we're going to end up doing is... Here's the wheel. Here's one of our axle tubes. It's got, axle tubes. Here's one of our axles. Right? So we're going to take this, put it through the wheel, like so, and then to put in the axle tube, there we go. All right. So what we need to do is cut a little groove here so that when we stick this axle tube in, we could put a drop of glue in the center that'll hold the axles, but allow the wheels to spin, so it'll still roll just like any other Hot Wheels or Matchbox. So David Beeson had suggested sort of cutting the groove through with a knife, and you can do it by rolling it on a surface, but don't cut all the way through. You just want like a little V groove. So I'm going to try and do that off camera. I'm going to pause you for a minute. Okay, so what I ended up doing was now David Beeson was using brass, I'm using aluminum. They're both soft metals, and I didn't want to cut through, so I used this file, and I just gently. And one added thing I did while I was using the file, in order to make sure that I did not pinch or otherwise damage the axle tube, I took an old axle that I'm going to reuse for another project, and I put it through like this. And now, hold on, let me just get that in there. Get it through there, right? And now, can you see? See that little hole there? So when I glue this axle tube to the plastic base at the right position, then I will slide in each shortened axle with the wheel on it, and then put a drop of crazy glue right there to hold both of them in. So I prefer crazy glue or super glue, but I have Gorilla Glue, so I'm going to try that. I'm going to take this tube and glue it right in there. And you can see where I had painted this, but then by working it, I exposed the blue plastic again. That's because I literally took plastic off the base to make sure that this would fit properly in there. Okay, so I'm going to pause this, and when I come back, this should be glued in there, and then I'll show you how I glue the wheels in. Okay, let's see if that's enough time for the glue to have set. So now the axle tube is glued in there, and there's a little notch there that should allow me to put a drop of glue in to hold in the new axles. Now, you may have to trim the axle length. So these are already, I had cut these short, so I had already test fit this, so I hope they will just fit right in. So it's a little unnatural to be doing it through the phone rather than right up against my eyes. So there, that one's in. Probably should have waited. Got to give these guys credit, the guys that do these customization videos, like Matchbox Resurrection and so forth, Diecast Outcast. When they do these videos, and they show you every step of the way, you never realize just how tough it is for them when they're not actually working directly in front of their eyes, but looking through a camera or a phone. So there, we've got that in, and there may be some follow-up that has to be done, but I think this is good enough for on video. And so now I have the proper wheels, width, and so forth, wheels and tires for this. And when everything is dry, this should roll just like it was brand new. All right, yeah, I may have to redo that. Again, I think it's just easier to do it without the phone in your way. So we'll see how this comes out in the edit. But axle tubes, so I've done some drilling the bases and tapping the bases on video, and this axle tube modification, and I'll see what other clips I can get together.